Hello everybody. So I am here to do the invitation challenge, which is a challenge created by my great friends Carlos and Janelle to go along with their Jesus Christ album, which is absolutely amazing that they just released. So listen, the challenge is very simple. It's just uploading a video, giving your salvation journey to share with others in hopes that others may want to come along and learn about the God that you talk about and that you live about every day. With my journey, I have been very blessed to be born into a family of believers. My grandfather was a Baptist preacher up until, a Baptist pastor. He pastored a church in Hickman, Kentucky up until 2013, and he still goes around preaching the gospel. My grandmother on my mother's side, she's actually Pentecostal. So growing up, I was able to get both sides of the world and denominations, and I was able to learn a little bit about both, but all in all, I was able to learn about the same God. Looking at their lives and the lives of those around me, I was able to see how a Christian was supposed to live. I didn't have to go out into the world trying to find something. I had it right there in my face. I was probably in middle school, and me and my brother and some of my cousins, we all got baptized on one day. My grandfather baptized all of us. And it was a great thing, but growing up and going on through life, I can tell you that I wasn't living a sold out life at that point. I was still lukewarm, doing kind of what I wanted to do. I want to do different things like everybody else's children were able to do. And I just was not able to do that. Even when I try to do stuff with my friends or people in my city, they'll be like, that's Pastor Robertson's granddaughter, not on my clock. And so they were holding me accountable, not because of the lifestyle maybe that I lived or maybe because of the God that I served, but because of who I was connected to. Now that will preach all by itself. But also when I started to think about that, a lot of my decisions early on were not necessarily based on maybe the God that I knew about, but it was more so based on the connection of my family, and I didn't want to let them down. I didn't want to shed a bad light on them. In college, and I moved 5 hours away to Chattanooga, and I remember sitting in my bedroom my freshman year, and I was like, is God even real? And so I called my mom, and somehow I ended up at a medical center, and they tried to put me on these pills for depression. And I think I probably took the pills for like 3 days, and I was so numb, had no feeling. And I remember my parents and my family was like, you are not about to be on pills your entire life. And they called that spirit out, they prayed that thing out, and I probably literally was on those pills for 3 days, never to look back. And so I started to go to a church in Chattanooga, Olivet Baptist Church, under the headship of Bishop Kevin L. Adams Sr. And that church changed my life. I remember going the first time because I'm from a small city, okay? A small town, I ain't even a city. And I'm not used to big churches, right? So I go to this church, and I remember I was in such awe of the choir, of how loving everyone was, and most of all of the word that was preached. I called my mom. I was like, Mama, I think somebody been telling this man my business. Like, this man is all up in my business. And from that point forward, when you get used to that kind of teaching, that's what you need. You know, you go from milk to meat. And so that church began to transform my life. I began to get a closer relationship with God. And I remember God start working on me little by little. And in 2008, I knew that I needed to change. And so I actually got rebaptized because now I understood it. Now I knew a relationship with God. Now I understood what I needed to do to walk this thing out. My desires started becoming God's desires, but I was still on the fence. I had a 3-year relationship I thought was amazing. I had friends and I had great jobs, but God understood that there was more that he was calling me to. So in 2009, he stripped me of everything. I no longer had that relationship. I lost some friends. I lost a lot of things that I was dependent upon. And the only thing that I was left with 5 hours away from my family was God. And so I began to dig into the word. I began to journal to God. I began to have date nights with God. And as I was doing that, he began to empty me out of all the things that I was trying to use to fill those voids that were not like him. He began to take those things out and kind of rebuild my heart. And I began to know God, no longer know of God, but I began to know God for who he was. I began to know God for all of those things that my grandparents used to talk about. But now I no longer had to live off of their testimony. I had my own testimony. He loved me with an unconditional love. He gave me a peace. He gave me my identity back. And when I was trying to find my identity in relationships and friendships and my status, God let me know that I was the apple of his eye, and the only identity that I needed was in him. Has it been easy? No. I would lie and say that it's been super easy. It hasn't. I've had some bumps in the roads. There's been many of times that I wanted to give up. But every time I've wanted to give up, God sends someone my way to reaffirm that thing that he's put on the inside of me. There's a reason why I'm set apart. And so I just want to encourage you. So if you have backslidden, if you feel like that you have done something so bad that God could not possibly love you, let me just tell you that he can and he will. He just needs you to have a heart of surrender. He just needs a yes that's uncompromising. He needs your entire life. He needs your whole heart. And when you give him your whole heart and when you surrender and say, God, I can't do it on my own, but God, I need you to do it. Guess what? He will step right in. He will send you people your way that's going to hold you accountable. People your way that's going to love you, people your way that's going to push you to the place that he has for you. Romans 10:9 said that if you believe in your heart and you confess with your mouth that God raised Jesus from the dead, that you can be saved. And you can be saved today. If he did it for me and my jacked up self, guess what? He can do it for you too. So I pray that this video has helped somebody, and please join in with the challenge. I will post it below, and I pray that y'all have an amazing day. Remember, God loves you and there is absolutely nothing that you can do about it. Be blessed.